Alright guys, welcome back to another MCreator tutorial. So today we're going to be looking at a couple item procedure blocks today, grow and shrink. So I'll be explaining how those actually work and then giving you an example how you would basically use it in a very simple scenario. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so to find these blocks, we can go under item procedures and then actions, and then right at the top here we have grow, and then we also have shrink. So basically what these two do is allows you to change the stack size of a particular item. So this by default is set to provided item stack. There are other ways to use this. You can use variables, you can use as well as like the right hand or items, pretty much anything that is an item that supports connection. So if we were to go ahead and grab something from entity, and then we could do like the main hand, we can swap these out with the main hand instead. So this would allow us to do something directly with the main hand. This will allow us to use an entity dependency rather than a provided stack one. Provided stack will only work in certain cases. So like in the case with having the player send chat, we don't actually have this particular dependency for the item stack, so we can't use this one, but we can use main hand if we really wanted to. Another option would be to get a specific slot from the entity as well if we really wanted to. So we could scroll down until we get like a specific slot one, which is like armor, or we could do get from item slot. So we could do something like that, and that would work as well. The other option would be to go ahead and use a variable. Now, I'm going to kind of demonstrate how this works in a little bit, but we'll create an item stack variable for this. We'll just call it stack. I think that will be a valid name. And then what we can do is we can get maybe the item stack of the right hand. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and change that right stack of the variable. So we're applying it to the variable instead of the main hand at this moment. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and apply that back to the players or the main hand of the item. So I think that's under entity data and then our entity actions possibly. Should be a main hand one here. So we can actually apply this back to the to the actual main hand of the player. So what we would do is we would go ahead and apply this back here, and we have to remember to get the amount that we have in that value. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and apply this back to the player using the stack size in that particular one. Now normally you wouldn't need to do this if you were doing it directly to the main hand. If you were doing it this way, it would be way simpler. But for demonstration for the variable, what we would do is we would go ahead and pass it over to the variable. We'd change the variable, and then we would have to apply it to whatever we're basically doing. So, for example, we're only manipulating the variable until we actually put it back onto the player's hand. So that's where this part comes in. And we can do the same for the shrink variable. All the things are valid. So let's go ahead and quickly save all this. We're going to basically grow the stack, and then basically after what we're going to do is we're just going to copy things over in more simple terms. We're just going to use the main hand and see how we can shrink a stack. So let's get into testing, I guess. All right, so we're in game, and I'm just going to grab a diamond, and we're going to put this in our main hand, and we're going to just say something. And you can see that the stack went from 1 to 2. We'll go ahead and do that one more time. We'll just say something in game, and it can increase the stack. And it doesn't actually do it to error because error is an unobtainable item, but we can do that with pretty much any item that we want. So we can just type something and it will add it to our inventory here. All right, so that's basically the growing one. Pretty simple stuff, and Obviously, it has a lot of mechanics that you can actually work with when you're using it with variables. In some case, you might need to do this variable setup if you needed to pass something over before something else happens, like if the entity despawns and you needed to store it to an item or to a variable. So if the entity dies or something, and then you pass it over to a variable, and then you can use that variable later on in the script. This would be a case where you would be using variables instead usually. So the other option is to use, well, like for the player directly, is to use the main hand item. So what we can do is we can test the shrinking mechanic now, and we'll go ahead and save that and pop back into game. All right, so we're in game, and we're just going to use the items that we had before. So we go ahead and basically just type something in chat, can just be any word, and you can see that it went down from 3 to 2. We'll do it one more time, and we can do it one more time, and we lose the item. So it basically just shrinks the item down until it becomes an empty stack. So if we were to continue doing this, it wouldn't do obviously anything, because error doesn't, you can't shrink error or grow it for that matter. So hopefully you found this tutorial useful, and we'll pick up some useful obviously techniques for using the grow and shrink. It's really handy, especially when we're working with inventory data and making things actually change based on certain mechanics and stuff like that. So outside of that, if you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, comment down below, rate the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Peace out.